Okay, so we are going to start with the synapse and then with the neurotransmitter. So, what is a synapse? It is a close proximity area between the axon and bulb of one neuron and the dendrite of the another. It is broadly classified into two: chemical synapse and the electrical synapse. Chemical synapse takes place when the distance is very much bigger. So you will see that the difference between the axon and bulb of one neuron and the dendrite of another, the distance is big. So here the chemical has to be transfused in. Electrical synapse takes place between when the gap is very small, that is a node of Ranvier. So here the charges can easily jump from one node of Ranvier to the another. Okay, so now this we are going to start with the chemical synapse. So this is the axon and bulb of one neuron. Okay, now this consists of the small vesicles called the synaptic vesicles. Now you all can see that here black color gate is present. This is called the calcium gated channel, and this is called the presynaptic membrane. The other dendrite where this is called the postsynaptic membrane, and it consists of sodium receptors and the chemoreceptors. Okay, now the impulse is generated. As soon as the impulse is generated, this calcium gated channels open. When the calcium gated channels open, between the presynaptic membrane and the postsynaptic membrane, there is a space, and here the calcium ions are present. So this calcium ions are going to get enter into it. So when they get enter into it, they bind with the synaptic vesicles, and then synaptic vesicles reaches to the membrane, and from here the chemical substances is released. So as soon as the chemical substances is released, these are going to be perceived by the chemoreceptors. So when the chemical bind to the chemoreceptor, this sodium channels open. So when the sodium channels open, the sodium ion which is present outside will get inside, and the potassium ion which is present inside will go out. Okay, so there will be more of positive ion inside the membrane, and less of positive and more of negative ion outside the membrane. Okay, so in this way how the synaptic vesicles, you all can say, the neurotransmitter works. So coming back to your book, in your book you all can see what is given in your book. If you see in your book, okay, so we'll see that in your book this flow chart is there. This flow chart is very important, that how a impulse is generated, and from the impulse, when the impulse is generated, it reaches moves to the axon, and from the axon it reaches to the axon and terminal. From here, the stimulus goes to the synaptic vesicle, then ruptures of the synaptic vesicles, the release of the neurotransmitter. The neurotransmitter is entered by the specific receptor that is present on the postsynaptic membrane, and then the generation of impulse takes place. Okay. Now, what is very important? This chart is very important. Then you have the excitatory and inhibitory. So, excitatory means which is going to excite the process or initiate the impulse process, that is glutamate, norepinephrine and epinephrine. Inhibitory neurotransmitter means which is going to inhibit the neurotransmitter, okay, that is called serotonin, GABA. So you all have to go, and there are certain transmitter which are both excitatory and inhibitory, that is acetylcholine. So thank you class, you all have to go through it. We have completed with the chapter of nervous neural control and coordination. Okay, so in your exam you will have reflex arc, structure of a neuron, parts of a neuron, neurotransmitter. Okay, and so thank you class.